If you live in village, you can relate to this story. Miss Jessie, how are your last road there? Who? Mark? Yes. He been here just now. Mark? Mark? Now call for him. He there boxing me the walk close by Norris from shop. He want buy a fight. If I see cough or fly, Miss Jessie, let me make case come me. I got 10 tweet. In the heart of a Guyanese village where the breezes carry stories and the land remembers the footsteps of those who've passed before, lived a man called Prophet Wills. He was called the walking dictionary. This word intoxicated man touched many lives. He focused on the morality of youth, and today he lives on with us. So, welcome, Loud Talk Story. Let's set the scene. Perhaps it was Buxton Middlewalk Road, Dirt Road, or maybe Company Road, Dirt Road, Friendship Road, Dirt Road, Brush Dam, Dirt Road. Bridges across trenches, wooden bungalows, and in the street strolled a gentleman, our Prophet Wills. Beaver hat, crook stick, waistcoat, sharply cut and creased pants, bow tie in the hot Guyana sun. Coming down the street, going towards Miss Irene's house to report an incident. He sees Miss Irene. He doffs his beaver hat. Good afternoon, Miss Irene. I was perambulating to my domicile when I espied the youngest of your male offspring and another youth engaged in a pugilistic encounter. Miss Irene looked at Prophet Wills in total amazement. Prophet Wills was quick on his feet. He understood that she could not comprehend his lexicon, so he lowered his register. You must rebuke your boy. Himself and another youth fought before me. Miss Irene. Beg pardon, sir. He not got manners. If he pass when he must say, excuse me. Prophet Wills. They were fighting. Well, what am I gonna say, so? If you live in village, you can relate to this story. Miss Jessie, how are your last road there? Who? Mark? Yes. He been here just now. Mark? Mark? Now call for him. He there boxing me the walk close by Norris from shop. He want buy a fight. If I see cough or fly, Miss Jessie, let me make case come me. I got 10 tweet. For those of you who don't understand what I said, let me break it down. Morning, Miss Jessie. Where is your last son? Miss Jessie. Mark. Neighbor. Miss Jessie. He's at the road corner by the Norris Rum shop, fighting with somebody else. But in our neck of the woods, in the days of Prophet Wills, it ain't go so. Now imagine our Prophet Wills. I was perambulating to my domicile when I espied the youngest of your male offspring and another youth engaged in a pugilistic encounter. Prophet Wills just didn't speak. He preached poetry. Thus, a young man wasn't just a young man. He was a male offspring. If you saw something, you espied. If you walked, you perambulated. Yes, he delivered it with such grace and linguistic excellence. Like many young Guyanese, we started our career with teaching, and Prophet Wills did the same. I'm not sure where he was trained. I would assume he did correspondence courses, or he went to Jamaica. because back in those days, Guyana did not have a teachers training college. A lot of people went to Jamaica for school. The Honorable Winifred Gaskin, Buxtonian as well, first Minister of Education and acting Prime Minister. She went to Jamaica to be trained. Prophet Wills taught. He taught at Highdam Wesleyan School in Myconii. He taught at St. Anthony's RC School, which is now Friendship Primary. He taught at Esquibo Islands. He taught at some school in Truly or Trolley. You guys who are Esquibans, you might know. He taught in Wakanam, or people say Wakanam. He did that. So he was a guy who traveled Guyana, and he was well known. When he was around 50 years old, that's when he stopped teaching and became this self-proclaimed prophet. I want to talk a little bit more about his contribution to the village and the village history. I want to make 3 points. His language was rich, layered, and unforgettable. Don't you agree? In a culture where stories are passed down, we can see Prophet Will's words as heirlooms, rich with moral lessons. When language is used with purpose, they can shape our identity or even community bonds, because the elders still hold up Prophet Wills as this great legend. You see, back in the day, people had to be more British than British. They had to be more English than English. Some people took it to the extreme. Now, when I say that's appropriate language, I would say communication needs to be of such that the person you're speaking with should understand. But Prophet Wills knew that his language was lofty, so he broke it down for Miss Irene. But Miss Irene, perhaps not understanding when he said, they fought before me, she thought they fought. You see, there's a mix-up with the word. And so she said, if the bypass win, he must say, excuse me. You see? Miss Irene, in her mistake, brings out what we call manners. Okay? And we know that you just don't go poopsing and farting all over the place and in front of elders and don't say excuse me. Right? Nobody gave Prophet Wills this job of correcting the youth. He always believed that the youth should be guided. So he dedicated his life to doing that. Leadership doesn't have to be given to you. People can take it on for the greater good. There's always someone in our lives that encourage us and help us to broaden our canvas, so to speak, broaden our lives. Who is that person that dropped words in your life and told you something to guide your life? I remember my auntie Baby Daff. I was just beginning high school, and she would take turns to take us to the University of Guyana. That's kind of interesting. I had one auntie who was a charwoman, janitor, and one that was a pro-chancellor of the university. And the one that took me to the university was a charwoman. Early one morning, I was so excited to go. And I went with her at 5 in the morning, and she was doing her rounds, cleaning the classrooms. And around 9:10, she took me to the large lecture theater. There was this huge statue there. And I remember distinctly, the theme of that conference was the oral traditions of the Caribbean. And young Al Crichton, a teenager, came up and he talked about culture across the Caribbean, about Olaig and the Blegeze and the Sukwanti and all these different things. And I was mesmerized. And you wonder why I do this from 11 years old. And I remember when my auntie delivered me to that lecture theater, she said to me, "This is where you take your place." I couldn't know what she meant, but it stayed with me, and I took my place. I remember when I started the University of Guyana, and I sat in that seat, the same seat when I was an 11, 12-year-old, and she said, "Take your place." And I remember distinctly, it came full circle. She spoke into my life. And then I had the good fortune to be a student of Al Crichton doing Drama 101 and Drama 201. That same young Al Crichton, blazing, full of energy, delivering his ideas about culture and the Caribbean. I thank these people for guiding me. So next time you hear a village elder speak, listen closely. There might be something in it for you. You might just be hearing a prophet wills. Because in every community, there's a person whose words can change lives and whose legacies may not be written in books, but in the hearts of those people whose lives they've touched. I mean, Baba Eyusi Kwayana is 100 years old, and he knew Prophet Wills. And some of the stories that I'm telling here, he probably remembered them and gave them to the author, Mr. Wayne Jones, who wrote these stories in a book so that I could tell you guys. So, hats off to Wayne Jones, hats off to Prophet Wills, hats off to Baba Eyusi Kwayana, and all those who've contributed to this work that brings us up to speed with those who have walked before us. If you've enjoyed this story, like, share, subscribe, come back, and if you don't mind, drop a comment below as to who is your Prophet Wills.